All right, getting things going. Stand by as we get everybody loaded in on this broadcast as we take a look at what's going on for Twitch and also on YouTube. So, for right now, a quiet evening with a few thunderstorms across portions of the area. And of course, if you haven't heard, the big weather story of everything going on tonight is Helene. That is what we are monitoring, and that is now a tropical storm. We'll talk more about what that looks like coming up here in just a little bit. All right, it looks like Twitch is active. Let me just double check and make certain that we're on and going with YouTube. So far, so good on that. And audio also sounds good. Okay, so we are up and running. It is Tuesday, the 24th of the month of September. Less than a week to go until the end of the month. And finally getting toward October. That's been a long time in coming. That's going to go very quickly. Definitely time to enjoy the forecast on that. If you're taking a look at the 7-day forecast in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, that you can catch at our website, wdef.com/weather, if you'd like to know a little bit more. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. This is Weather Overtime, News 12's online exclusive video weather blog from downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee, keeping you updated with what's going on around the area with the forecast. If you got questions, drop them into the chat function. We'd love to know where you're from. Give us a situation, location update. And if you have a question about the forecast, again, drop them into the chat function. Love to see where everybody's checking in from tonight. More on Helene in just a little bit. Let's take a look and see what's going on with the highs today. Record high of 94. We came within 2 degrees of a record high temperature for today. Yesterday, we set a new record high temperature, 96. The last record high temperature on that date was set back in, I believe it was 2014, so blew away that one. We're nearly 3 inches behind for the month, and now over 11 inches, working on 1 foot of rainfall behind on for the entire year. We should be at 30 inches plus. We're at 40 inches plus actually, and we are not even close to that. So this has been a very dry August and September, and we're heading into October, which typically for Chattanooga is the driest month of the year. So it's possible we could be seeing a lot of different changes taking place out there where the rainfall is concerned. Hopefully we're getting a little bit more. We could definitely and desperately use that. Around the area for the last couple of hours, we have seen some showers, some thunderstorms. We even had a bit of severe weather up around Meigs and Ray counties in the northern News 12 viewing area. We are now seeing just some showers and a broken line of thunderstorms from Tullahoma back to about Crossville. So we did have a threat of severe weather. That has since basically been lifted from the National Weather Service. We did have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect. That is no longer the case. No more watches are currently out there for anybody in the News 12 viewing area. So it looks like our threat of severe weather is pretty much at an end for tonight. Severe weather chances, the Storm Prediction Center has kept us in a marginal threat for severe weather, which again, on a scale of 1 to 5 is about a 1. So this is not a huge threat, but some of the storms that form for later on tonight could be borderline strong to severe. We'll talk about primary threats coming up here in just a little bit. Tomorrow, Wednesday, the threat goes down to our south, and then for Thursday, the threat arcs off to the east coast. So no longer a threat for us, but again, something to watch out for there. For tonight, if we do get anything, it is going to be mainly the possibility of damaging winds and large hail. Tornadoes do not appear to be a major threat, but as always, they are a non-zero threat. So it is possible with any of these storms to get some tornadoes out of them, depending on if the conditions are right. We did have a tornado warning earlier tonight back up around Johnson City, but it was nothing in the way of anything huge, no reports of any damage, thankfully, on that. So whether or not we get anything else, that could be a bit of a concern into the overnight hours. See what's going on out there for right now, which again does not amount to much. It's relatively quiet at Island Cove Marina and Resort. On the EPB Fiber Optics Weather Cam Network, a few more clouds out there for tonight. Traffic at 64 and 153. Moving along quite nicely on the Plainview Outdoor Advertising Camera. From downtown, looking off to the east, again, a lot of clouds out there, and so far not a lot happening on the Bailey's Heating and Air Camera. Kind of hazy, but otherwise quiet. Ruby Falls, Lookout Mountain, looking back to the west, across Lookout Mountain toward Raccoon Mountain, which is usually there off in the distance. Any of these cameras you can pick up through the News 12 website at wdef.com/weather. Heavy traffic, pretty standard for this time of the night at 2475, especially southbound 75, heading toward Dalton, Resaca, and Atlanta. Looking at a lot more potential of problems there for later on this evening. And let's see what's going on the North Shore. Chattanooga Theater Center. A lot of folks out and about earlier. Warm, not overly hot, with the clouds out there on the Chattanooga Theater Center down toward Coolidge Park. And a few folks out on the footbridge from earlier, but not seeing any major concerns there. And from the Chattanooga Zoo web camera, right back along, looking back toward Erlinger Hospital over toward 4th Street. And what was a decent sunset earlier tonight. Very much on the quiet side for right now, just clouds. Temperatures at the airport back into the mid-80s, and still a lot warmer than what it was last night with those southerly winds keeping the temperatures up. All right, the next couple of days are going to be kind of interesting because we have not only this storm system that is just kind of hanging around. It's moving our direction, kind of, sort of. It's taking its own sweet time to move its way back to the east, so we do not have that much going on in the way of any systems really moving through. What's probably going to happen more than anything else is just going to wobble back and forth, give us more chances of showers and thunderstorms ahead of this. But of course, the real weather story at this time is about 1,000 miles down to our south over the western Caribbean. Helene is now a tropical storm. It has garnered enough strength to where we are seeing a little bit more in the way of a little bit more structure to this, and also a little bit more in the way of power with this. It's sitting over a very warm area, but it's also going to be moving into a very hot area of ocean water, and that is where we really see the problems coming our way into the next couple of days. So first of all, let's concentrate on the local and see what's going on here. For tonight, starting tomorrow morning, that front is just to our west. More chances of showers and thunderstorms at first, and that'll continue through Wednesday afternoon as that front slowly makes its way to and through the area. In the afternoon hours, I'm really doubting that it's going to be this cool around here. Very much on the warm side, 70s, but with enough rain and enough wind, we might cool off a little bit. That front kind of slows down and starts to wobble, and then we see more chances of showers and thunderstorms from Thursday morning into Thursday afternoon. That's also where that first part of the plumes of moisture wrapping around Helene start making their way northward. So we're gonna have rain over the next couple of days. As we go toward Friday morning, it looks like by about midnight, what's left of the storm becomes a tropical. First of all, it's a hurricane as it moves on shore. This model has it being a hurricane up until about midnight, and then around midnight or just afterwards, it downgrades to a tropical storm. Then, as we get right into rush hour on Friday morning, that is where we see this system sitting right over us, or very close to that, between Atlanta and here. If this holds together, if this is enough of a dip in the atmosphere with the air rushing around trying to fill in that gap, we could see some very breezy winds coming up here in the semi-near future. Now, as the storm denigrates downwards into a area of low pressure by about noon on Friday, it's still sitting right around the area, able to draw in more moisture and keeping us on a very windy and rainy note. And that goes right on into about Friday Night Football, to where it's going to be windier, less amounts of rainfall coming up, but there will be the potential of that system wobbling back to our west for a little bit, so there will be chances of rain even into the weekend coming up, and that goes right on into Saturday afternoon. And then on Sunday we could still see some leftover showers and maybe a thunderstorm, depending on what the remnants of Helene decide to do. So this will be around the area for quite some time. The most concerning part, again, so far there's no indication of any major amounts of severe weather, but if this thing is a hurricane onshore to southern Georgia, Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle and lasts up until midnight, the air around this is going to be going very, very strong. So nature, the phrase is nature hates a vacuum. So nature trying to set everything back at a 1-to-1 equal status, and when you have a big dip in the atmosphere like this, air is rushing around that, spinning around, trying to fill that gap up and set things on an equal basis. Well, if this is going to stick around, if this has enough strength to go a little bit farther inland as a hurricane, it could be a tropical storm right up to the point in time on Friday morning that it's right around Atlanta, and then back across our area. Friday morning, this thing devolves into an area of low pressure. So I would suggest, again, Thursday and Friday, if you have anywhere to go on the roadways, extra time, alternate routes, keeping a very strict eye on the roadway for any problems going on up ahead of you, because that is where we could see, again, the potential of some big slowdowns and some travel headaches depending on how things go. So this could be our next very big weather maker. Now, we're also looking at the potential here of maybe the possibility of some heavier amounts of rainfall coming in with this particular storm. We've gotten into a pretty serious drought situation, but for right now, this is something that has to be monitored, because we could see, with heavy rainfall coming down on very dry ground, it's a very good possibility that we may see some very heavy amounts of runoff taking place. If that happens, we could be seeing the potential of, again, a lot of problems out there. So the National Weather Service has issued a flood watch for southeast Tennessee, western North Carolina, and all of northern Georgia until 2 o'clock Friday afternoon. That is in effect because of the fact that we are expecting to get a decent amount of rainfall, very much on the heavy side for right now. Some areas here could get 5 inches plus in the next several days. Look at Atlanta down to the south, over half a foot possible in the next upcoming what's left of the week. And then the really heavy stuff is going to be mainly down toward the coast, to where we could see 10 inches plus right off the Florida Panhandle, and that trail of rainfall going right up very close to our area. A lot of this falling on the Appalachians, higher elevations, so there could be a lot of mountain pass area, a lot of drainage problems, a lot of debris getting washed down, could be some blocked drains, and that's going to lead to further complications with flash flooding. So this is a serious situation. This could be a life-threatening situation, and all it's going to take, again, these storms, the path I'm going to show you in a second, wobble back and forth, so this possibility could wander back to the west a little bit. If that happens, that's going to take this target rainfall and move it very close back to us. What are the odds of that? Well, we'll have to let the National Hurricane Center figure out more about that. So let's go ahead and time this out for right now. First of all, taking a look at what's been going on in the last few hours. The latest Hurricane Hunter plane was on its way through. It has now started to return to base. It did one sweep through to take a look at, and seems that as of right now, it is not any stronger, according to what the Hurricane Hunter planes have been taking a look at for right now for their latest reconnaissance mission. So good news on that. If you are planning on traveling down toward Florida, We have numerous watches and warnings in effect for various locations. Both sides of Florida are picking this up. Miami and down toward around the area close to parts of the eastern Keys. There's not any watches here, but some for Georgia. Now we have tropical storm watches extended and hurricane watches for southern parts of Georgia. Those hurricane warnings are now in place for the Big Bend area of Florida, just off into the Gulf, and we have tropical storm warnings for lesser amounts of wind, but still possible into here. That, again, is where we look for the potential of less in the way of the main force of winds going up right across the Florida Panhandle and into portions of Georgia. That is where, again, the worst potential is going to be for anything happening going on for right now. That'll be the worst of the worst there. But for this particular storm, we have been watching this thing gather strength for the last couple of days and is now, again, a tropical storm. It could very easily be a hurricane by this time tomorrow. Again, the Gulf of Mexico, the waters here are way abnormally warm, 90 degrees plus in many areas. Anything over 80 degrees is considered rocket fuel for these storms. 90 degrees plus, that's amazingly dangerously hot water for these storms to take advantage of. So what does that mean for the forecast? Here we go. For tonight, again, into tomorrow, the threat curves a little bit closer toward the Yucatan Peninsula, which might help a little bit to kind of drop its strength. But this system, it looks like, becomes a hurricane as we go toward Thursday morning. It's going to take a long time to go from the Caribbean into the Gulf, and then the storm, as it goes into the Gulf of Mexico, by the time we hit Friday morning, it looks like this system is going to be a major hurricane, which is Category 3 and above, and that is where the storm is going to be at its strongest point. It's going to be also over that loop current going right through this area, and that loop current that becomes eventually the Gulf Stream, where that warm water goes up the eastern seaboard over toward the British Isles, keeping things very mild over there. That loop current could cause rapid intensification. Now, right now, it's expected to be a Category 3, but that also could change a little bit later on. Landfall, it looks like somewhere around midnight on Friday morning. The computer model's in very good agreement about this. Could become downgraded to a tropical storm by 2 o'clock in the morning on Friday. And then this particular model has it curving right back to the west a little bit, which means the heaviest rainfall and the worst winds will be on this side of the storm. But we will continue to see the possibility of very windy conditions as this degrades from a tropical storm to a tropical depression. That, again, where we are sitting, could be giving us some very strong winds and the potential of some very heavy amounts of rainfall. Again, the worst winds are on the northeastern side of the storm. If you're looking at a clock, it would be from 12 to 3 o'clock, that northeastern quarter, and as that area begins to draw in that moisture from the Gulf and into and around the area of the Atlantic, that is where we'll see most of the rainfall coming on through, being dropped right in and around that particular path. Now, this is what it looks like right now. The time is 6 past 10 Eastern Time on Tuesday evening. By tomorrow morning and even tomorrow afternoon and evening, overnight, we could see a rapid intensification. We could see a change in path. We could see all sorts of things. The storm could go anywhere in this particular area. That red line just shows the middle of that path. Do not, again, look at that and say, oh, it's going to be staying right there, so I don't have anything to worry about over here. I don't have anything to worry about over here. Again, the storm could wobble one direction or the other. So this is going to be very important to keep an eye on, where this thing comes from, where it is going. If you are traveling, again, as we go from Thursday into Friday, Thursday night into Friday morning, that is where we could be looking at the potential for some very windy conditions, not good for travel, and watching, again, for heavy amounts of rainfall. This could be some very sloppy conditions in the next few days. Also want to notice something else here. I just want to make certain everybody's aware of this. I was on Reddit last night on r/Chattanooga. Excuse me. And I noticed that a lot of people, pardon me, were talking about the idea that this is going to be arriving as a hurricane. That is not going to happen. Again, as these storms, you have the land surface and the ocean surface. As these storms move from the ocean over the land surface, these systems, as they move onshore, they're removed from their power source. That's the ocean. That's that very warm water. Yes, they still have access to it as that area of low pressure continues to bring in moisture and swirl it in, but it's also getting closer to that dry air coming in from off the land, and also cutting it off from its power source weakens it quite a bit. So this should become a tropical storm within a couple of hours of landfall on the Florida coast. This will not be arriving as a hurricane. It's a good possibility. We'll see some very breezy winds with this, but I think for right now, this is going to be a tropical depression as this gets a little bit closer to us. And again, that'll be coming up around Friday morning. That's going to be the worst of this storm for us. Down toward the Gulf, now I think if you have any plans to travel between, say, Pensacola and Tampa St. Pete, this would be an area to avoid, as we see, excuse me, this system plow right through that particular area. So right in here, and even on sidebar areas, I would say even over toward Mobile and down toward Sarasota, Fort Evans, in that area. If you have any travel plans, you keep them for now, but I would say if this is going to be moving through in the next 72 hours, you don't want to be going into a situation where you might get stuck there because of storm surge, debris, power outages, all that type of stuff. So if you're heading anywhere in this area, you may want to think about postponing or finding someplace else to go while the storm is around, because again, heading into a storm zone, not a great idea. So if you can avoid the headaches and getting stuck someplace where you might need rescue, stay out of the way of the storm. Try to find yourself a very nice place somewhere else, maybe farther west or farther up the East Coast. Might be good for a beach vacation, but right now this is not looking good into the next several days for this storm to come on through. Now, add to that, I think this is something to really consider. I think by the time we hit Friday night, the storm's worst potential is going to be over with, but I also think, according to what I'm looking at here, it's a very good possibility that we're going to see some very breezy winds. A lot of rain, maybe some thunderstorms. It will start to diminish. I think after sunset, as we go toward halftime, there'll be less rain. It won't be any less gusty until after midnight. So this coming Friday, it's a very good possibility we could see some delays in school start Friday morning, maybe some cancellations. Friday night football, again, looking kind of iffy, and pushing the games forward to Thursday night might be just as much of a mistake because of that system approaching us and shoving all that rainfall up this direction. So Friday night football this week, outdoor activities in general toward the end of this next week might be a bit of a problem out there. So this, again, could be something to very much consider. The officials of the games, the officials and heads of the schools really need to watch this system very, very carefully to show for public safety that they are keeping track as to what is going on. So please keep it tuned to News 12. We'll keep you updated on what we might be looking at out there. There is also another system well on off. I don't know if I have it on here or not. Let's see. No, I guess not. That's wrong graphic there. Sorry about that. We will use that for another time. Okay, so 7-day forecast for tonight and into the next couple of days. Temperatures overnight tonight, very much on the mild side. Back to a flood watch for Wednesday morning through Friday afternoon, and then windy conditions for Thursday into Friday. And then we start to remove the chances of rainfall. Notice that they are not gone. They're just reduced a little bit going into around portions of the weekend. So we do not have really a good opportunity to get rid of all the rain, and temperatures will be at least below normal for the foreseeable future, so that will help at least a little bit in there. But we do see, again, the potential of more chances of showers and thunderstorms right through the weekend. Minimal compared to what we're going to be looking at here, but something to think about if you have any outdoor plans. In the windiest conditions Thursday into Friday, where we could see wind gusts of around 30 miles per hour plus. There is no wind advisory in effect yet, but that obviously could be changing into the next couple of days. So keep it tuned again to News 12, and we'll keep you advised on that. All right, extracurricular stuff again coming up. If you have not had a chance to become a Skywarn spotter because of schedule conflicts, you can't attend the meetings in person. That's okay, because the National Weather Service in Morristown has created a virtual online severe weather Skywarn spotter training course. All you have to do is take the virtual class, pass the final exam, and then you can register with your particular National Weather Service when it comes to learning about severe weather, and you too can become a Skywarn spotter. Please consider becoming a Skywarn spotter, because the more folks we have out there that are trained in the practice, the safer we will all be. So the more we can look for severe weather, the more we can report that information back to the National Weather Service, the more safe we all are. So again, please consider doing something like that if you would be so kind on there. Where did my browser go? Okay, here we go. So, talking about exometeorology, one of my favorite topics, weather on other planets. According to the study done by I had to delete the information, unfortunately, but the telescope system that discovered this, I believe it's Kilo Long Track Telescope, something like that, from South Africa and Arizona. The exoplanet, it's a super Jupiter. It's 3 times the size of Jupiter. It's 670 light years away. So this weather forecast, this weather information that we got for you, is already 670 years old, looking at the time it takes that light to go that far. So the exoplanet itself, a super hot super Jupiter, is estimated to have a surface temperature of what? 1405 in Fahrenheit, 1405, 1310, 7820, or 11,005, and 63% of you got it right. The surface temperature of Kelt 9b exoplanet is 7,000, estimated by, and is confirmed again by NASA, 7,820 degrees. This thing is so hot that it strips hydrogen molecules apart and also other molecules, sending them flinging out and around. As they cool off, they fall back to the planet and reform, and then as they get to the hotter side of the planet, rotating around, they're stripped away again, and the molecules just go flinging away in shards, apparently. It's incredible to think that there's something like this out there. So thanks very much, Friend in Roofing, for being our weather poll sponsor of the day. If you'd like to be a sponsor of our pages, please drop by our sales department information page at wdef.com. Nice to see Zorak from Space Ghost Coast to Coast. A little praying mantis joke there for you for fans of Cartoon Network. Thank you very much, Cheryl Hale from Chattanooga, catching Zorak, stopping by the Riverwalk in Chattanooga. Nice to know he has some time off out there. That's our weather window picture of the day, brought to you by Langley Roofing. If you've got weather pictures, again, please send them in to us. Email, drop them to our social media pages, or you can go to our main website, wdef.com/photos, if you'd like to know more about that. So, for tomorrow, not the best day for outdoor activities. Maybe something indoors would be a better bet, just to be on the safe side, and looking at more chances of showers and thunderstorms. Excuse me. Pardon me. First time I think I've sneezed on here. Beg your pardon. That was rather rude of me to do that. Sorry, but unfortunately pollen has that effect. Hopefully this rain will get some of that pollen out of here as well. What we are going to be seeing is, again, a good day for a golf video game indoors. Temperatures in the high 70s. That's going to be nice for a game of golf. Lightning with a big metal club in your hand and metal spikes on your shoes. Not the best place to be. So if there's lightning out there, give it up for the day. Stay in the clubhouse. Plan your next golf outing. Try to find something more interesting to play, online video games, if you can find some sort of golf. I wonder if the Atari 2600 still has Gulf on there. I'll have to get that out and check out and see if that is still available. All right, so again, for the next 48 hours, could be seeing a lot of problems there with outdoor activity, so that could be a bit of an issue for anything going on outdoors. So just please keep that in mind throughout the rest of the forecast on there. Let's take a look and see if I can find it back real quick. Into tomorrow morning, taking the pupper for a walk. You're probably going to need some rain protection with more chances of showers and thunderstorms, and temperatures will be quite mild, back in the high 60s to lower 70s. Thanks to News 12 viewer Hannah Stockford from Chattanooga for a view of her senior Shih Tzu Primrose enjoying a lay-in, and tomorrow is going to be a very good possibility for that. Definitely want to get Marlo T. Shorkey, House Onek Weather Dog, out for a bit of a layout so she can get things taken care of there, but have some rain protection gear ready to go just in case. And once again, if you are just tuning in at the last here, I want to make certain everybody's paying attention to all of this, because into tomorrow, again, whether it's preschool or postdoc, we are going to be seeing the possibility of showers and thunderstorms on the way to class. So get those rain protection gear ready, umbrella, poncho, whatever. You're probably going to need it more than likely during the afternoon, but also possible in the morning. So please, again, get that ready, and get ready to stay tuned to News 12, because Chip Chapman will have your complete forecast coming up bright and early into tomorrow. One more check of what's going on, and not good news with carbon dioxide. Latest information from CO2.Earth and the NOAA Mauna Loa data facility registering what's going on with the atmosphere. Last week, the latest carbon dioxide weekly averages was up to 422. That is way up from last year and way, way up from 10 years ago. We are continuing to head in the wrong direction. This is why the Gulf of Mexico is so hot, because the waters are absorbing the heat in the atmosphere that we are putting out there by continuing to supply greenhouse gases to the atmosphere. So this is a big problem, and this is why we all need to both be aware of climate change, understand its causes, how we can fix things, and why we need to elect leaders who have a good scientific background and knowledge, who understand what climate change is and do not write it off as a silly hoax, or worse yet, want to get rid of entire government agencies that study climate change because they think that will shut everybody up about climate change, which it certainly will not. Very short-sighted way of doing things. So not great news there. Hopefully, again, we get to that going the opposite direction, but it's going to take a lot of effort for that to happen. That should do it for tonight. Again, if you're just joining us, we should watch the entire replay available at our website at wdef.com/weather. If you'd like to know anything more, my email address at the bottom section of the screen, aonek@wdef.com. Our website, wdef.com/weather. Complete forecast update. All of our forecast information graphics are all there. So definitely want to stay tuned for more as we keep you updated as to what's going on. Remember, again, that Helene, the path, the strength, everything about this will be changing in the course of the next several days, even the next few hours. We could be looking at the potential of a hurricane, and maybe a major hurricane less than 48 hours away. So now is not the time to go messing around with this particular storm. So if you have any plans with this system in and around going toward that area, please rethink that. Please be safe. Please be weather aware. Let's make certain we're all paying attention to what's going on with the weather here. We'll keep an eye on what's happening with stuff going on, again, with the potential of severe weather. Hopefully we don't have any, and for right now, rain and a few rumbles of thunder into overnight, and that should be about it. All right, that should wrap it up for tonight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. Stay tuned for more with News 12. We'll have more on Helene coming up tomorrow morning and through the rest of the day. And, of course, I'll have more on your forecast with another weather overtime tonight for peak of the week Wednesday, tomorrow evening. Chip Chapman is in at 5 a.m. for your forecast on air, so stay tuned for more on that. And, of course, more on your forecast here online with News 12. Thanks for joining us on Tuesday, the 24th of September, and we'll see you again